Stop winging it to get clients and reverse engineer it instead. So here's a book. You read a book from the front, this is the front of the book, to the back, right? But the way you build a client getting system, and ultimately your dream business, but your client getting system is from the back to the front. You start with the end in mind. You start with getting ultra clear on who you want to attract and what you are going to offer them. So that allows you to avoid chaos. Most entrepreneurs don't fail because they're not working hard enough. They work hard enough. They're doing, most coaches work harder than anyone, but they're not making the momentum and not getting the clients and making the money that they want because they're not doing the right kind of work. They're working haphazardly. And I know because I speak to so many entrepreneurs where they're in this boat. And when they explain their marketing process, it's like they're explaining some complex conspiracy theory and they've got 5 variables here, 6 variables here, 2 variables here, and there's so much complexity that it brings chaos. And then they're trying to work and distribute their energy throughout the day to each thing, but it's so low, the energy output, that they're just not getting the traction. They're not getting momentum. They're met with resistance. It feels like an uphill battle. And that's because they just haven't taken the time to clearly map out 3 steps. I just wrote them down here earlier. And I've done a video, I'll link it in the description below, going through these 3 steps. But really, this is based on principle. You have to come from principle, not tactic, not from what's shiny, what's latest, what's new. You have to go with what's true. Always go with what's true rather than what's new. Go with principles over tactics. And I remember speaking with a potential client. She was doing 30K a month. And she was up the night before until 11 p.m. working on a landing page. And I was just like, what are you doing? And she hates funnels, she hates tech, she just gets tangled in tech, she hates Frankenstein funnels and hates complexity. But I was just like, that's just not necessary if you're at that level. So what's necessary is just having a simple way to take people from cold, don't know who you are, don't know that you exist, have no relationship with you, they're like a random person on the street, to warm, they at least know a bit about you, they're open to the idea, and then to hot, they're like ready to go. And what's interesting is it's not just how do I get a client, it's how do I get someone, how do I get a cold person to warm? That's like step 1. It's not how can I get a client, because a lot of people go from cold to hot too quickly. And they skip this piece, which in the middle I call connect. They skip the connection piece. And when you have no connection, you have to have a lot of persuasion. So therefore, you'll see people like people who cold call, people who door knock, people who cold email, people who cold DMs. They're going straight to persuasion. They're like, what are the words I can say to get people to be at least interested? Right? I've got 5 seconds that I can say something before the door gets slammed on my face, or I've just got a small preview of text, right? It's all about persuasion and convincing and pushing. Whereas if you are wanting to build a high profit, high enjoyment, dream coaching business with clients that you love working with, clients who light you up, clients who are aligned, you want to work with people who have a great connection with you and with your brand and with your values and with what you stand for and the work that you do. Otherwise, if you're relying on persuasion and you're pushing them and in convincing energy to try and get them, they're not going to, like when you recommend something to do, they're going to be resistant. It's like, hey, we need to create some content. And they'll be like, I don't know about that. Or, hey, we need to create a YouTube video. And they're like, why? And it's like, when you have to persuade to get clients, it's never good. So it's worth reverse engineering. What's the process I can take someone through to get them from hot, an 8, 9, or 10 in terms of ready to buy, and then warm, and then cold? Because when you design your marketing process correctly and intentionally, rather than haphazardly, intentionally, you increase your probability of actually making it be efficient, of turning it into a well-oiled machine, and turning it into something that works. When you're hyper-focused, like the most successful entrepreneurs I know, they're not chasing, they're not opportunists. They're like visionaries. They have this big vision and they're just thinking big and they just want to change the world one person at a time, one post at a time, one piece of content at a time, one day at a time. They're wanting to do big things and make small actions throughout the day to make that add up and count. They're not opportunists. They're not chasing the latest funnel hacking strategy. They're not chasing the latest tactic to try and get more leads. They're not thinking like that. The most successful entrepreneurs, they're visionaries. Visionaries are the ones that win. They're not trying to find the latest funnel. They're not winging it. They're not running on chaos. They're actually working less than people that are making 10, 20, 30K per month because they are working smarter and their hours are being at a higher dollar or pound per hour rate than what the lower people are. I see it all the time. So rather than winging it and just trying to somehow get people to somehow buy and put links randomly everywhere, it's worth it to take some time where at the top you say, right, there's a question mark. There's people. How do I capture their attention? How do I bring them into my world? And then how do I connect with them so they're aligned with my values, who I am, what I do? And then how do I warm them up so they want to hear about my offer and ultimately want to work with me, and then they turn into clients? How do I take a question mark into a dollar mark? That is the ultimate question. Now, for me, what I've learned, and that's principles-based thinking, by the way. It's not just like, what's the latest funnel? This will be relevant for 100 years. You always need to capture attention. And then once you capture attention, you want to capture permission. Then once you've captured permission, it's about building the relationship with the person. The money's not in the list. The money's in the relationship you have with the list. I could get a list of 100,000 business owners or coaches, cold emails, and it would be worth nothing. Or if I build an email list with 1,000 people who are actually excited to open my emails, that will be worth so much more than the 100,000 list, even though it's 100 times smaller. It's not about the size, it's how you use it. And then once you've connected with them and they're aligned with your values, who you are, what you stand for, where you want to go, the aspiration that you have, then it's about creating a simple way to convert them from an 8, 9, or 10 into a client. So what it looks like for my clients is on the capture piece, where we capture attention, we just want to help people. Like, helping people is the best business model ever. My mission is like to serve people who serve people. So I just want to serve people. I want to help people. I want to give value. I want to give free education. So I do that mostly. My platform for that, if we get tactically, is Instagram. Instagram is great to get attention. It's not good to build a relationship. To some degrees it is, but the best platform I find to go to stage 2 is YouTube. So short form, long form, and then a simple way to convert people over the line once they're ready, on their terms. No hardcore emails trying to push them into something. No scarcity, no 5 days left, no 3 spots left, nothing like that. It's when people are ready, they will come to me, or they randomly message me, or they randomly ask me. But it's not random because I have a process to be able to engineer that, and I'm not in a rush trying to get clients. But my point is, I have a holistic view of how to go from cold to warm to hot. So my question for you is, what is your process? Take me from cold, don't know who you are, warm, I know, like, trust this person, to hot, I want to work with you. Like, that's my coach, that's my guy, that's my girl, you're the one for me. What is your process for that? And if it has more than a few pieces in each section, I would challenge you to look at your results, and if it's working, great. And if it's not, to reduce the complexity and bring it to simplicity, because simplicity is key. Complex fails, simple scales. And if you have the proper setup, the hours that you